Today I'm reviewing Avengers Age of Ultron, so if you're interested in hearing what I've got to say about this film, then don't go anywhere. I think Whedon manages to recapture the same sweeping directorial style that he had with the first Avengers movie, and like with the first film, he manages to give us some really interesting and entertaining action sequences, and they're all really well shot and edited. The opening sequence of the Avengers attacking the Hydra base is pretty much a joy to behold as a comic book fan. To see all my favourite characters team up the way they do is awesome. I love that. He does seem to manage to capture the spirit of the comic book and put it onto the screen really well. The final action sequence with the Avengers versus the Army of Ultron drones is something that we've not only seen before, it's really not that compelling. But Whedon does manage to give us those scenes with the same flair that he gave us the scenes in Avengers 1, so it's not bad, it's still pretty entertaining, even if it is something we've seen before. I'm also going to take a couple of points away just because, and this is really a bit of a nitpick of mine. Why does Ultron have a kind of a human moving mouth? It's something that Hollywood seems to be really obsessed with, giving inanimate objects really human features. They do it with Optimus Prime in Transformers, they do it with the Lizard in Amazing Spider-Man, and they do it with Ultron in this. I don't know why they keep doing it, and I really wish they wouldn't, because it looks a bit weird and off-putting, and I can't take my eyes off it whenever he's on screen, unfortunately, and it kind of does ruin it a bit for me. The score does go for a darker tone than the first film, which was a bit more triumphant and heroic. But I think that's obviously something that's been done on purpose, because this film overall is a bit darker in its tone. It does manage to generate some good atmosphere throughout the film without doing anything that's particularly outstanding, so overall I'm going to award it a 7. I think everyone has got so used to their characters by this point that there's really no point in me listing each individual actor and saying how well they did with their role, because, well, the list is long and that means my review will be longer. And also, they're so good at what they do now that it's almost second nature to them. So I'll just point out that I think that James Spader was excellent as the voice of Ultron. He gave a very haunting and intellectual performance as Ultron, which is something I felt that role needed. I think he was perfectly cast. I also really enjoyed the fact that Jeremy Renner got to play the lighter side of Hawkeye for a change. We didn't see any of that in the first film, and in the comics he is a pretty light and funny character, so it was nice to see some of that brought out on screen. Overall, I'm going to give the performances an 8.5. For a film that I don't consider to be written particularly well, Age of Ultron does contain some of my favourite scenes from the MCU, in particular scenes featuring the Avengers. The party scene where they all try and lift Thor's hammer is a great visual representation of each of those characters' motivations and attributes that make them who they are. And I felt that Joss Whedon did a great piece of visual storytelling there. The same thing goes for the farmhouse scene, where we get to explore some of the characters' fears and rationales a bit more, which is something that this film does really well throughout. The only unfortunate thing is that each time these scenes happen, they're often bookended with something that really doesn't belong there. Scenes like the scene where Thor is in a weird rock pool and lightning hits him, it was a piece of exposition that didn't need to be there, that nobody cared about, and to be honest, it seemed like a poor excuse to just have Chris Hemsworth topless for a couple of minutes. Maybe that's what female audiences want, but I like to think they're a bit more intelligent than that. And so I felt like scenes like that ruined the film and spoiled the narrative. Overall, I'm going to give it a 6.5. I think that people were far too harsh when the film first came out. Maybe they were expecting something different and what they were served up wasn't what they were expecting, but I think in retrospect, people are going to enjoy this film a lot more on repeated viewing. It does have its issues in the writing, but it doesn't make it any less enjoyable. I still love watching this film, and I've probably watched this more than I've seen the first film, which is odd considering I said that that's probably the most rewatchable film in the MCU. Age of Ultron isn't going to be for everyone, but it is still a highly enjoyable film, so I'm going to award it worth a watch. That's it for this episode. As always, if you're not a subscriber, hit the button and you can become a fan of this show and support my channel. Let me know in the comments section if you agreed or disagreed with what I've said about the Age of Ultron. It is a film that tends to polarize people a bit, so I'd be interested in hearing your opinions on this. Thanks a lot for your time today, and I'll catch you on the next episode.